It's time for Tiger Talk, presented by Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Old Chicago, amazing craft beers and food, north of I-70 in Hayes. Old Chicago, share, reconnect, celebrate. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, providing the best in-home loans to the Tiger community since 1920. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System, and the official physicians for Fort Hays State University Athletics. The certified public accountants of Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball. Your trusted advisors, providing you with commitment, experience, and integrity. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, Valley Hope of Norton. Get help and find hope. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. Horizon Appliance and Mattress, TVs, appliances, Traeger grills, and Tempur-Pedic bedding. Open 7 days a week at 1501 East 27th in Hayes. And Eagle Communications, internet, TV, phone. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
And a happy Monday to you. Welcome into Tiger Talk. This is Gerard Wellbrock, and we are at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, where we record Tiger Talk over the noon hour, and we're glad to have you with us here as we talk some Fort Hays State basketball. Always a happy Monday after a couple of Tiger wins, and the Tiger women certainly took care of business and did that over the weekend. A reminder, next time you are at Old Chicago, check out all their late-night specials. Every day starting at only $3. Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. Tiger women win twice, knocking off Missouri Western and Northwest Missouri State to remain in first place all by themselves atop the MIAA, now 18-1 and 9-1 in the conference. And we are joined by head women's coach Tony Hobson. Congratulations, to nice home wins, and we talked about how nice it would be to be back at home, and well, the crowds responded. Great crowds, great atmospheres on Thursday for Missouri Western, and then Saturday afternoon for Northwest Missouri State, and your team performed well for them and got two. They were hard-fought wins, but yet you look at the final score, two convincing wins for your team.
Well, I think in both those games we kind of struggled a little bit early. I don't know if struggled. I think the other teams really played well early on, and that's not always a bad thing, just to see how your team's going to respond. And I thought both of those games were good for us in that they weren't just rollover easy wins. We had to really buckle down and change what we were doing and make some adjustments, and like the results in the second half of both of those games. And you're exactly right on the crowds. The crowd Saturday was about as good as it's been for recent memory for me, as far as just there at the beginning of the game, into it, and big crowd. It was really nice to see. I know our kids all commented on it after the game.
Yeah, over 3,000 there for the, in fact, 3,400. And you kind of took them out. I mean, they were into the game. The students were there, and they were making noise, and you kind of took them out because of the way you're playing. And that's a good thing. I mean, you had such a nice run, and that's become kind of a pattern for this team. You just kind of wait, and then somewhere in there, the defense really locks down and holds, and then you get some transition, get some easy baskets, put the ball in the hole, and all of a sudden a tight 3 or 4 point game's a 15, 20, 25 point game.
Well, I thought the first half against, especially Saturday, Northwest Missouri, I thought we were offensively, I thought we were really good. I mean, we scored 49 points. Yeah. We shot the ball well from the perimeter. We were getting some second opportunities. Yet we're still in a ball game because I didn't think we guarded the best. They do run good pattern. They run a lot of screens. They've got a lot of little guards that are quick out there that can really pop it and make shots. I thought we were about a half a count behind them getting there, and I thought we just corrected it at half. And our kids, we challenged them just a little bit, and you know, we have to be able to adjust and guard those type of people, and you saw what the result was. The third quarter, we just locked them down, and they just a couple shot clock violations, some bad shots, couple block shots, a few turnovers, and then we got out and ran on them, and it was over quickly. When you know, I don't think I've ever lost a game where I went on a 20-0 run.
Yeah.
And so that was just good. We played at a pretty high pace, speed, and had 6 turnovers. And you know, T was a couple of hers were, you know, she had an offensive foul and 2 travels. You know, and that was, and we had 6 turnovers for the whole game. So I thought where we were a little turnover prone on Thursday, I thought we really corrected that well. But yeah, just a couple of good games for our kids. Not real easy games. They were both kind of physical games, but good for us to kind of expand on what we're doing and just grow as a team and get better.
And you kind of, where I was kind of going with this on Thursday, and different style, but although both physical, Thursday certainly was physical. That's how Missouri Western has always played. And I know that turnover, while they had a part in that, you had 18 season high, and it just, you kind of, I think, alluded to it after the game Saturday, just a little loose with the ball, and then you add a team that's physical and really, you know, that's a part of their game. That was fortunately it didn't cost you in that game Thursday night.
Yeah, and I think I look back at that game, and 7 of those turnovers were in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes when a game's, you know, already been decided, which that one basically had, we were up 25 at that time. You know, it goes out the window. We're interested in, like, hey, let's go get a shot, and let's, you know, the focus level just goes down naturally. So that's understandable a little bit. I'll tell you, they were 2 such different teams because really on Saturday, a lead didn't feel that safe with those guys because they just shoot it so well. You know, and they had 12 threes up against Kearney when they beat them. They had 8 against us the first half. So even when we were up 20, 25 against them, you know, we were just going to keep the hammer down because I just was not going to give up 3 or 4 straight threes and let them even get a sniff. On Thursday, I felt a little different because they're more pattern. They need some time to score. It's going to be mainly to the basket stuff. They're not great 3-point shooters. So when we got up, you know, 24, 25 on them, I felt, you know, definitely the game was over because they couldn't score enough points. But at the same time, defensively, it gave us some challenges just to play really strong on offense. Otherwise, we couldn't get from one spot to the next because they were just strong.
And usually you bring in some of the reserves on the team who don't get to play as much. Normally they're pretty good, but that's just a tough game to come into that situation with the way they play. One of the few times we have seen them not maybe perform as well as we have most of the year.
Well, that's still it's the hardest thing to do in basketball is just come in at the end of a game and be as good as you are because these kids are all good players. And you know, you sit there and you're cold, you're not warmed up, the ball doesn't feel right in your hands. Then you got people coming after you, you know, and then you're feeling pressure to do something good, so you get to play more. And, you know, sometimes it just goes like that. And like I said, that's a difficult situation to be put in. I think anybody that's been in it understands.
Well, the Tigers got the win on Thursday and then came back with a nice win on Saturday. We'll talk more about those 2 contests as we move along and take a look to this Saturday. Just one game this week. It'll be a big one up at the Health and Sports Center as the Tigers take on Nebraska Kearney. Again, Tiger Talk recorded at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room over the noon hour on Mondays at Old Chicago. They invite you to join them for happy hour from 3 until 6, Monday through Friday. It's Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Serious craft brews, seriously good food. We will take a break, be back with more here on Tiger Talk from Old Chicago on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
I'm Patty Stoll, broker-owner of Coldwell Banker Executive Realty. We want your dreams to become a reality. Coldwell Banker Executive Realty prides itself in putting you first.
Rebounded by Kennett. Outlet to Page. Up the floor, Leggett. Down low, Barbieri. Layup good. I don't think the ball hit the floor once in transition. It's 47-28 Tigers. A 10-0 run. They lead by 19.
Yeah, that was some of the action from Thursday. Part of that run Coach was alluding to against Missouri Western. And that was a pretty fast break. And we've seen that multiple times. You get a rebound and bam, 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 it's down the floor. There's been no dribble and you're getting a layup. And you know, Bell has been the recipient of a lot of those, but it doesn't really matter. You guys can really run the floor well.
Well, for no faster than we are, we run the floor well. And a lot of it's just getting out and getting out there quick and understanding where to go. And when I say we aren't that fast, our post players are fast. As far as wings, you know, we're bigger on the wing, and we're not lightning fast, but I guess they're not slow either. And they're also really good passers and understand they can handle it. So when you get it out to Casey or Laney or Taylor, it doesn't have to be our point guard. Mm-hmm. And I think to have an effective fast break, you can't just lead it with one person. It can't just have to be in one person's hand the whole time. Or there's going to be, you know, what if she falls down, or what if somebody's not letting her catch it, or maybe there could be a lot of reasons why she isn't there. So when you don't have to have it in Carly's hands, you can outlet it, or you know, T gets a rebound and takes off, or Laney or Casey or whoever, and they start the break. And then when you have Bell, who's real fast for a 5-man, and T, who's faster than anybody in the conference at the 4 or 5 spot, they're hard to match up with when they'll sprint the floor. And
all seem to make, for the most part, pretty good decisions. And sometimes, I mean, they'll cover the pass and win the drive and take it themselves, dish off later, whatever. I mean, really seem to make pretty good decisions on what is the right thing to do on that particular play.
I think we've got way better at that. Those guys, especially T, she makes better decisions than she did last year. A lot of times last year it was layup or turnover, and now she's getting rid of it. She's the recipient of more, but she still gets to the basket on occasion. So I think she's making better decisions, and like I said, it's just a matter of it can't just be layup or a bad shot. You know, push it. If you get something, fine. If not, then you have to have sense enough to go ahead and try to execute something. And I think we're way better at that. And it should come with experience. And we've got a lot of experience out on the floor. Lots of juniors and seniors playing. So we should be better at it, and we are.
And you mentioned that for T. I've seen her assist numbers go up dramatically this year. And a lot of that is in transition. But also, I mean, she's become a focal point, obviously, for teams defensively. And knowing when to get rid of it, she's still obviously getting her points and her shots, but distributing the ball very well when they're not going to let her shoot maybe as much and let someone else get involved in that.
Well, she's as good at the high-low little sealed pass to Bell as anybody we have for sure. And she's very unselfish, and she is a better than average passer, and understands the game. And last time I looked, she was leading us in assists. And part of that is people are taking away some of her offense, and so she's finding other ways to go ahead and score without taking the shot. And she even had a couple good kickouts the other night for shots when she got doubled. So, you know, I'm not sure what T can do to play better than she is right now, because the energy level she's been bringing has been out of this world, and you know, she's rebounding it, she's scoring, she's hit a couple threes, just playing hard and about doing everything we've asked her to do.
I know we talked, you know, shooting percentage, and it seems like this team has gotten better as the year goes along, and some of that's just hitting shots, but it seems like, and not that it's been bad, but shot selection and maybe making the extra pass, getting it to whoever. It's amazing when you do that and get better shot selection, the shooting percentage goes up, and your team has kind of been on a steady increase here the last month and a half, and I think it seems like that's a direct correlation of getting good shots. Not that they weren't before, but even better shots now, it seems like, within the offense.
I think you're exactly right, because we have been making that extra pass, and you've seen a lot of times where we might have a reverse pass come to Laney where she could take a shot, and she's a good shooter, but she makes the extra pass to the corner to Taylor, who's wide open. And a wide open Taylor's better than a covered Laney, and vice versa. And so about everybody we have is a better shooter with an open look than anybody else we have that's taken a rush shot or maybe a little contested shot. So I think once everybody, it takes a while before everybody trusts everybody else. And everybody knows that. And there's nobody on our team that's a selfish scorer that takes shots really that they shouldn't. They have one thing in mind, and that's trying to win the game. And I think that's one reason why we share the ball so well.
It's been fun to see the bench score a lot of points. A lot of it's been Whitney Randall and Taylor Ross. But the other night, I mean, they were two of your top leading scorers. And I know we've talked about it here before, but you go start bringing those players in, really there's not much drop-off, and they've really been a nice spark plug offensively. Maybe if it's been a little stagnant or whatever, one of those two seems to have a hot hand, and that's a nice luxury.
Well, it is. They're both really good scorers, and like I said, they'd be starting for a lot of people, and but we're not going to give them to them. One thing that I think, I know I do it sometimes when, let's say, the other team has a really good scoring point guard and they take them out for 3 or 4 minutes to rest them, I might take Carly out because give her a little rest because she's been chasing around. I think sometimes people do that where maybe I take T out and put Randall in, and they might rest their so-called great defender that they're putting, and then Randall just riddles her, just
7-8 straight.
Right. And now I don't think it's always like that, but I know those are the tendencies sometimes of people doing that. And but part of it is they always come in the game 4, 5, 6 minutes into the game and they're fresh, and they're either playing against somebody off the bench for the other team or somebody that isn't off the bench that's tired. And it's a luxury we have, and we certainly want to take advantage of that. And it's just nice not to lose offense when you go to the bench. And I think both those guys are really good defenders too, and rebound their position, so you aren't losing much.
Yep, Tigers got 2 nice wins, now getting set to face the Lopers up in Kearney on Saturday afternoon. We'll talk about that and more when we return. Tiger Talk recorded at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room over the noon hour on Mondays. Old Chicago, they're your craft beer authority. They have 40 rotating draft beers. You can stop by today. They're north of the interstate in Hayes. Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. More with Coach Hobson after this timeout here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here!
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it!
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM. Do you believe in love? Story days.
Well, 94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Laney finds Barbieri top of the key. Back to Laney, left wing three-pointer. Bingo! She knocked it in. Her second of the game. 14 for Page, and the Tigers lead by a dozen. 46-34.
That was part of an 8-0 run in the second quarter on Saturday against Northwest Missouri State. Tigers had the lead up to about 8 or 9. Bearcats got it back to within 4, and that pushed it to 12, and pretty much in control the rest of the way for the Tigers as they beat the Bearcats. Laney finished with 20 points in that one, and boy, you could just see it. She knocks a couple in, and then she may hit that little mid-range jumper, and just like, it's going to be a big game for her, and she's really finding her stroke, and that was one of those on Saturday.
You could tell she kind of had a nice feel, nice, everything looked smooth, and she was really in sync. And I can't remember the other game at home where she hit 5 or 6 in a row, and then you run, you might leave her out there 2 or 3 minutes longer than normal, your normal substitution pattern, and you run a couple set plays to get her a couple more shots. And so we ran a little flare screen for her after she hit her first 2, and she makes that, and then it's kind of off to the races. And she's really good at, as they run at her, she has that little mid-range pull-up, She's good at that. She also hit a 3 in transition, just dribbled it up and just stopped and shot. So, you know, and okay, so if it isn't her, then Taylor might do it. Yeah. And then if it isn't her, maybe Casey's hot that night. So it's just nice to see the different kids kind of carry us on a certain night offensively, and then it doesn't have to be one or two of the same people, and I think that's one reason why we've been consistent.
Seems like Laney maybe trying to get to the rim a little bit more, too, at times. I mean, I know it's not her forte, but it's, obviously teams are aware of her three-point shooting, but it just seems like she's been able to get it inside a little bit more.
Well, we've posted her up a little bit, and then she's a pretty good back cutter. I'm not crazy about her, like, from the point trying to get there with 2 or 3 dribbles. There's usually traffic down there, and but as far as like working before she gets the ball to get inside, she's been doing a good job, and we've actually been trying to post our guards a lot more this year. Taylor's she's really good in the post offensively, so we try to post her up, and Casey and Laney, especially Saturday when they had 5-6 guarding. Either Casey or Laney, they had 5-6 guarding all the time. So you just try to roll them down in there and give them the ball and try to make something happen.
Tiger Talk brought to you by Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, home of the World Beer Tour. 110 beers from around the world. You can ask for details the next time you're here at Old Chicago and begin your World Beer Tour. Old Chicago, they're your pizza and craft beer authority. So the Tigers now get set for a 3-game road trip, and obviously a big stretch here. You go to Kearney Saturday. You got Pitt State on the road. You got Missouri Southern, who's always challenging on their home floor. So this is another key stretch we've talked about a couple of times in the season. Now this is going to be a key run. One of them was last week with the road games at Emporia and Washburn. Another one coming up here. So the fact you only play once this week, that Saturday, maybe comes at a good time, and you're kind of in that grind of the season. Postseason tournament, and a little bit too early to start thinking, where you sit for the league race and all those things that probably will occur down the road as you keep moving along. They're still a little bit too far away. This is kind of the, dog days. Yeah. You called it a lot of different things, but your team seems to be handling that all pretty well.
It's I'd say we're in about the last week and a half of it. Usually once you hit February 10th, February 12th in there. After we play these 3 road games, then things will start developing as far as standings and who plays who and things like that, but it's still too early for that because most teams have 10 games to play. We have 9, 5 away, 4 at home. So we just have to just tend to our business and make sure that we do everything that we can to be ready to play Saturday, and then worry about what comes next. But the last 2 weeks have been draining on us. Not so much this past week, but the week before was. And, there's just our kids, they feel a lot of pressure that I've been trying to tell them that it's not necessary for them to feel. But they feel like they have to be perfect, and that we can't lose another one, and we just have, and, sometimes that just gets to be too big of a deal. They just have to worry about staying physically as energetic as possible, taking care of themselves, and then when the time comes for a game, play the best you can, and really, if we play the best we can, it's going to be good enough. We just have to not put so much pressure on ourselves to be, try to be perfect every game, because it's in basketball. It's such a long season. And you play so many games, it's just almost impossible to do.
Well, heading up to Kearney on Saturday, and I know your team will be certainly focused and ready. We talk about how, compared to Pitt and Emporia and Washburn, it's probably not up there as far as the rivalries go. But Kearney's sure trying to make it one, because since Gary Amy's been, I think you've only lost once. You're 6-1, but those 6 wins by an average of 6 points. Only 1 double-figure win. A couple of those came in overtime. They certainly gave you all you could handle back in January or back in December in Hayes. I mean, they've obviously played well, and they really play well against the Tigers.
Well, they do, and it is a rivalry game for them, and then when you have your former assistant as the head coach, and it's really important for her to be competitive and with us, and I wouldn't expect anything less. They always do a really good job of preparing for us and getting their kids ready to play. And we've had a couple overtime games in there, and they beat us last year, the only game we lost at home. We ended up going up there and beating them. And you know, they're not as good as they were last year, just to be honest, but they're still pretty good, and they're dangerous. I mean, they're just with so many freshmen they're playing, they're just up and down. I mean, they're just unpredictable. They had two of the best games on the road last week. They get beat by Washburn in overtime, and they missed a free throw that would have won it in regulation. And then they turn around and make another long trip down there on a Sunday and beat Emporium. So
and really controlled that game for a good stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, they were totally. They were up 19 in the first half. So just you figure that, and then they kind of stumbled last week and got beat by Northwest. But after, you know, I didn't get that one at all. I'm thinking, wow, they must really have something wrong. And then when I saw Northwest, I could see how that would happen, because they hit 12 threes and they were hot. So they're a little up and not a little. They're really up and down, but their up is good. So if you catch them on one of the ups, you're going to really have your hands full. And I expect them to really be ready, and we'll have to play a good game up there to win.
One thing they've been pretty good at defensively, among the leaders in field goal percentage D, among the leaders in steals. Those are usually two pretty good barometers. So they make it difficult for opponents, especially on their home floor, to try to disrupt you guys offensively.
Oh yeah, they'll play. They'll really have scouted well, and they play good, solid man-to-man defense. They're good in help, and they're a lot longer this year than they have been. Their kids are taller. I mean, they've got a lot of big guards like us, and you know, they'll start a smaller point guard, but then I think they start their other four kids are 5'11" or bigger, and they're just they're going to be a team to be reckoned with, I think, in the next few years as these kids develop, if they develop, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but they're a good defensive team, and you have to really execute. They rebound well, and usually pretty fundamentally sound.
It should be a fun one. It always seems to be when the Tigers and Lopers get together, and obviously that'll be a big game coming up on Saturday afternoon. Coach, as always, we appreciate the time. Have a great week of practice, and we'll see you up at the Health and Sports Center on Saturday.
Sounds good, Gerard.
All right, that's head coach Tony Hobson of the Fort Hays State women. Again, that'll be a 2 o'clock tip this Saturday up in Kearney. Tiger Talk recorded Mondays over the noon hour at Old Chicago, the place to watch your favorite teams play. And while you're in, you can join the OC Rewards program. It's free, and new members receive a free appetizer for up to $10 after their first transaction. Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. We will take a break. We'll talk with men's coach Mark Johnson when we return here on the Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Hi, everyone. This is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hays, and play it back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's Channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HaysPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago. Here's Brady Worth out high, plays to Aaron Nicholson. Aaron to his left, finds Marcus Cooper, trying to get it into Worth and can. Now Bitstam out high with 12 to shoot. Back to Cooper on the left wing. In low to Brady, double team, puts it on the floor, out to Kinnaman. Kyler for three, swish! He put it in! 2 minutes to go, the Tigers lead by 6, and they call a timeout. Oh, what a shot from the McPherson senior.
Yeah, big shot from Kyler on Thursday as the Tigers hold off Missouri Western. Welcome back to Tiger Talk, recording over the noon hour at Old Chicago. And, of course, make your plans to join us for the program here for lunch next week. Of course, you can always try one of the great pizzas, dough made fresh daily. It's all at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, north of the interstate in Hays. Yeah, that was a big shot from Kyler on Thursday as the Tigers beat Missouri Western 84 to 74. That was a strange game. You fell behind early and then came back with a 26-2 run to go up 19. It was just kind of hold on for dear life the rest of the way, but you found a way to win against an up-and-coming Missouri Western team on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got it up to 26-7, and really foul trouble got in the way there. Brady got his second foul. I think Jared Vidstum got his second foul. So you're playing, not a normal lineup there. And I think we ended up going in at 13, which, if that doesn't happen, foul trouble, maybe you keep it at 20. And then really the second half, we didn't do a good enough job of pulling away. We let them hang around just enough, and it was kind of 9, 12, 13. And then they just make a little, like 3-point shots today. You come down to 2 or 3 possessions, three-pointer, and all of a sudden that 12-point game is a 6-point game, and it's become down to 2 possessions. And that was probably the biggest thing. We just didn't close it out in the first, 10 minutes second half. We just let them kind of be right at that margin and then made it close and then give our guys credit, stepped up. Obviously that play there, Kyler was a big shot for us and kind of got some defensive stops there at the end.
You mentioned the 3 points, keeping him in. Levon Hightower kind of single-handedly kept him in. He had 29 on the night, 6 threes. It seemed like he had a few open ones, but a lot of highly contested three-pointers, and he just made some big-time shots.
We've really, and Saturday was no different. We just seem to continually happen. We're just, and like I said, we went under a few handoffs and he hit a couple threes, but some of them were pretty good defense. You sit there and I'm getting really frustrated with guys making all these threes and these teams shooting threes, and in the heat of the moment in the game, you're upset, you're angry, you're frustrated, and you sit there and go watch film the next day and you're kind of, well, boy, that was a pretty hard shot. But we're saying that too much. So obviously, we got to continue to improve on that and make it more difficult on our opponents. But, yeah, he's a great player, one of the best players in the league. He's just a matchup difficulty with his size and ability to really, score in the post, score on drives, score on pull-ups, and shoot the three-pointers. So he has an all-around good game.
And we talked a little bit after the game on Thursday. You don't find that real often at the Division II level. Maybe 2 of the 3, but very rare to have all 3.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting deal from each level. He was on the same team of a player we had last year, Keyshawn Wilson. He was on, and there's another kid that went to Lincoln, a kid that went to Arkansas Monticello, a kid that went to Kentucky Wesleyan, and really he came off the bench and averaged 8 or 9 points a game. Was a okay player, but not, and who would have thought? Again, he's turned out to be the best of them all by far, and it's not even close. And you sit there and go, well, how did you not see that? Well, if you would have watched their team play for, it's just funny. Each level, kids are different players at every level. There's like I said, I've seen kids at junior college be pretty just okay, solid, and come here be really good. I've seen kids be really good, high-end junior college players come to our level and not be very good. So it's just interesting that each level guys can flourish and struggle depending on where they're at. It's just kind of an unusual deal that you can never really put your finger on who's going to be really good and who's not. It's kind of a hit and miss at times, and hopefully you hit more than you miss.
You're saying it's not a science, this recruiting thing.
Well, I always say, especially look at NFL quarterbacks, no one's putting more money and energy and manpower to, vet who you're going to draft and then how many first-round draft quarterback flops do you have. And I promise you those guys, no one's putting more time and effort and money in trying to figure out who's the best. And it's sometimes kind of easy from the outside looking in and go, well, how do they not know that? It's obviously it can be a challenge at certain positions on projecting how successful a guy's going to be.
Well, the Tigers did get the win on Thursday, 84-74 over the Griffins. And then Saturday had Northwest Missouri State come to town. And I know we've been talking leading into the game. You've been talking with other coaches how everybody says they might be better than they've been. And they've been really good here for quite a while. And getting to see them up close, I can see what those other coaches were talking about. They're a solid team. I thought you guys actually played pretty well. But just too many firepower.
They're an interesting team. It was just after the game was over. Their best is better than they've been. I think their worst is probably worse than they've been, if that makes sense. When they're really playing well, they shoot it. They have no weakness. But you could cheat off some guys when they're making their threes. They're probably better because they're hard to guard. But if those things aren't falling, I could see where that in better teams, whatever postseason play, if you're not making your shot, they don't have an Endow or a Pitts, necessarily a post press. So I think when they're on, they're even better. When they're not on, they might probably not be quite as good because they're not as athletic in certain areas. But they're awfully good, and they came out of the blocks and played extremely well, made every shot. Really the thing. defensively, we actually held them to a lower percentage than they normally shoot. I mean, really what held us up second half offensively is what got us beat. I don't think necessarily our defense, just because you have to be able to continue to score. We said it before the game. You're not going to hold them to 40% and put them in. I mean, you try to slow them down as much as you can, get as many stops as you can, but then you have to keep scoring. In the first half, I thought we played really well. We made shots. We were executing pretty well. Second half, we didn't execute probably as well, and we didn't make shots, and we just couldn't keep up. So that was one of those games, really. We shot 36% in the second half. You're not beating Northwest Missouri shooting 36% in the half. You got to continually have good offense, and we just were not able to do that.
Yeah, 58% of the first half. He hit 4 threes in each half, but a couple of more attempts in that second half because they just keep putting pressure on you. I thought you had in your post game, how they kind of won the game in a way in the first 10 minutes because you were playing really well, and they come out and go 5 for 5 from 3 and hit some just unbelievable
Yeah, I mean,
shots.
The one at the end of the shot clock by Wittes, I mean, just kind of knew that was his night. I mean, even then he comes out the second half, and that little play they ran to open the half, I mean, Jared was a little bit late, not a whole lot. He got a pretty good hand from 3 feet and beyond. He's made it. I mean, he was on. He's a great player, and he was great that night. And, yeah, I thought we played it really well. Brady had 9 points right out of the start of the game. We were playing really good, and we just – if they, like I said, if they just would have gone 2 for 5 in that opening run instead of up 11-6 or whatever it was, we fell behind 16. We were up 11-6, and they kind of went on that run, and maybe it was they got up 20-16, somewhere around there. But I mean, if we could have, been up, continually been 16-8, 16-9, keep spreading that lead or keeping it there, that maybe changes a little bit, but they were so good to start the game. It was really the first 10 minutes, I think, pretty high-quality game from both teams.
Yeah, really was. Bearcats win at 81-69, so they stay unbeaten. Ranked second of the country, one of 2 unbeatens left in Division II basketball. Now the Tigers, a tough one. The standings may not look that way, but it's going to be a dogfight on Saturdays. Tigers head to Kearney to take on Nebraska Kearney, and we'll take a preview look at that one. Tiger Talk recorded over the noon hour on Mondays at Old Chicago, so come on out and join us for lunch next week. Of course, you can stop by here anytime. They've got burgers, sandwiches, salads, distinctive taproom fare, great menu items to choose from at Old Chicago Pizza and Taproom. Serious craft brews, seriously good food. We'll take our final break and preview the Lopers when we return to Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
As you plan for your business in 2018, advertising should be an important part of your growth strategy. Digital marketing puts your business in front of the right customers online. Advertising with the Hays Post ensures your message will be viewed 1.5 million times a month, including 375,000 unique views a week. Are you ready to grow your business? Advertise with us today. It's affordable and it works. Call us today at 785-628-0467. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Davis on the attack, goes down the lane, hangs, missed it, gets his own rebound and puts it in. Devin Davis with 6. It's 56-51. Tigers within 5, closest they've been in a while.
As about the midway point of the second half, you thought maybe a run was in store, but unfortunately, that'd be the closest the Tigers would get, a 9-2 Bearcat run. Put them up by 12, and it kind of pulled away in the final 5 minutes of that game. But another play, Devin had a nice game, 10 points. And, I mean, you guys were battling, and you just could not get on that second half to a little run, maybe score 6 or 8 in a row to maybe get you over the top or at least get you in a better position down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't, the way they're playing and making shots and how good, the point guard and Wittes were, really. And kind of right after that play, too, every possession, we always talk about and tell our guys, every possession matters. You got to play like every possession matters. But when you're playing them, that just heightens that. And really, we had it to that maybe 5-6 point lead, and we come down and take a transition 3. And, that possession just kills you because I think that's when they went on that 7 or 9-2 run. I mean, that's just one possession, but we needed to come down. We had it. We had a chance. We have to go get a valuable possession right now. Doesn't mean we're going to score, but we got to get a good possession. We just come down. I think Marcus took kind of a quick 3, and you miss, and you just can't do that against a team like that.
Yeah, those are great when they go in, but when they don't, they kind of set you back a little bit.
Yeah, no, quite like I said, when you're playing as well as a good team as good as they are and as well as they're playing, like I said, every possession is so valuable and so important. And we kind of, offensively, again, we were struggling, and some guys at times just – just try to take it upon themselves, and you can't do that against them.
Great crowd. You could kind of hear it there, 3,800, and the students were great and trying to get in the game. But when you go as Capone, it just seemed like every time the crowd was really trying to get into it and maybe give you an edge, they would hit a big three just to silence them. And that was probably frustrating because it was a good crowd and they were into the game.
Yeah, we just couldn't get to that final. We even had a time again where I think we got it to 5, played a great possession. They kick it out, and Freddie went out there and got a good hand up, and Welty hits it from about 3 feet deep. That's just kind of a backbreaker. They take it from 5 to 8 instead of they miss that, and you come down, and now you got a chance to cut into that lead and really put some pressure on them. But they're a good team for a reason, and really they embody what today's game is. Got to have one guy with some juice that puts pressure. You got to help. He can get to the rim. He can score, and then surround them with all shooters. And it just becomes very challenging because if you give any type of help, those guys are wide open. And then if you don't help, they got a player good enough to go score, and they put mismatches on you because you have to switch at times and all that. And really, I think if you had 2 really 6'5", athletic, tough guarding people, you just put them on Wittes and Hutchkins and just let them switch together. But a lot of us just, you don't have 2 guys like that. And if you do, I think that could give them some problems. So it'll be interesting as they go forward and play some teams in the postseason, that have a couple guys like that. It'll be interesting how that goes. But, they really, just like I said, they really embody what today's game is.
All right, Saturday in Kearney against the Lopers, and I know the standings show them in last place, and it's been a rough go for them, but this game scares the heck out of me because they always won. They play you guys so well, but I think they are still a little bit better than their record has indicated, but always tough, especially at the Health and Sports Center.
Yeah, we're big rival for them. They always play their best game of the year when Fort Hays comes to their place. You look how close it was at our place. Very easily could have beat us here. And they're one of those, they've struggled. They've lost a lot of close games, and then it seems they've just always had one guy out. You know what I mean? And it may not be the focal point of the guy or the main guy, but anytime someone's out of your rotation, it affects your game. I know the A.J. Jackson kid was out a game or 2 for this injury, and then Morris. It just seems like they've always had one of their top 7 out. And I think if I look back this weekend, I think maybe they had everybody back in the fold. So, but yeah, it'll be a very difficult game, a game we have to have. As you look at your schedule, going forward, this is one of the games on paper you would say you're a favorite. I don't know how many games we can really say that as we finish the season here. And I've told our seniors this too. They've never won there, and this is their opportunity. They definitely don't want to finish their career not going up to Kearney and ever beating them. So this is an opportunity for Brady and Trey and Kyler, Grant Holmes. I know Marcus is only his 2nd year, but he's a senior. That gives you an opportunity to say you went on up to your main rivalry game and were able to win on their home floor.
Yeah, lost 5 in a row up at the Health and Sports Center. And when you look at things, obviously as a tough loss on Saturday, but you're right there in the mix. It's about 3 or 4, maybe 5 teams are going to be battling for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th place spot in all likelihood behind Northwest. You're a part of that. They've taken care of a lot of business to give them a chance, but now's the time you got to really step it up. And as you mentioned, there are no easy ones from here on out, but your team's in a position where you can still have a very successful run this year.
Yeah. And I told our guys, I told them, hey, Northwest Missouri probably was going to win every league, not just the MIAA. It doesn't matter what league they were in. They're kind of them and Bellarmine. I haven't seen Bellarmine, but those 2 teams seem to – I know Bellarmine hasn't played any harder schedule than Northwest has, and Northwest is 19-0. So, they're probably going to win any league they play in right now this year. So, hey, we have a great opportunity to finish, 2nd and 3-way tie for 3rd. I think right now we play against all those teams. We play Missouri Southern. Washburn we don't play anymore, but they still got to play Northwest. Mm-hmm. They still have to play Lincoln. So there's a big jumble of good teams that are right there that we can finish anywhere really from 2nd, and I think you got to almost look at Northeastern and the way they're playing, well and you look at their schedule, what they have remaining. I really think you got to put them in there. Mm-hmm. That really we can finish anywhere from 2nd, as high as 2nd, but we could also drop probably as far as 8th. There's a big window there that can go either way with the quality of teams and how close everyone is.
Well, a big step to that will be on Saturday up at the Health and Sports Center against the Lopers. Coach, we appreciate it. Have a great week of practice, and we'll see you up in Kearney Saturday.
All right, thanks, Gerard.
All right, head coach Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Again, that'll be at 2 and 4 o'clock for Fort Hays State this Saturday in Kearney at the Health and Sports Center. And don't forget, you can catch the video replay of Tiger Talk on Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. It's on Eagle Cable Channel 14 and 614. Of course, you can always watch it online, HaysPost.com. Just hover over that Eagle TV icon and at the top left and click on Tiger Talk. Program presented by Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute. It's part of the University of Kansas Health System. By the Taco Shop, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, Horizon Appliance and Mattress, Valley Hope of Norton, and Eagle Communications, and of course brought to you by Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, where you can order online at oldchicago.com. They make your to-go orders a breeze. Old Chicago, the craft beer authority north of the interstate in Hayes. Hope to see you up in Kearney. If you can't make it, join us here on the Tiger Sports Network. We'll be on the air at 1:35 with the Auto World pregame. We'll see you next week right here on Tiger Talk.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.